afternoon, students. Miss Pavlicek here from the Science Center. I hope you're all doing well and very excited for tomorrow's snowstorm. Since we are coming upon what's called the winter solstice, I thought today we would read a story that would be about the winter time and animals, because you all know how I love animals. So we're going to read a story today called The Mitten by Jan Brett. And I'm going to read that story aloud. It'll probably take about 5 minutes. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the animals in this story. And then there's one very big star animal, our hedgehog, that I will introduce you to near the end. So I'm so glad you could join us today. And to get started, I just have to present my screen. So that will take 1 second. And here we go. Okay. Awesome. Oops. Hold on 1 second. Start from the beginning. And here we go. The Mitten by Jan Brett. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool, white as snow. At first, his grandmother Baba did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never, ever find it. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. After she finished, she said, "When you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and around and sound. But then I will look to see if you still have your snow white mittens." So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until up, of course, one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the white mitten, and he wiggled in feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. Kickers, I love that. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. You can even see their tracks in the snow. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Diggers, I love that, for claws. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. A great bear lumbered by. He spied the Mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be. But what animal could argue with a bear? The Mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and budged to many times its size. But Baba's good knitting held fast. And along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left in that mitten and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Achoo! The force of the sneeze shot the Mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. Oh no! On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost Mitten silhouetted against the sky, the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow white Mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound. And then she saw that he still had his new mittens. But, oh my goodness, take a look at this picture. Baba is looking at the mitten. What do you notice about that mitten? All right, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed this storybook by Jan Brett about animals in the winter. Jan Brett is a local author. She lives in Massachusetts. And, of course, we all need to wear our mittens when we go out in the snow. But when Nicky came back, his mittens didn't look like this, did they? Instead, the mitten looked kind of like this, right? Humongous. And the mitten was so big because of all the animals that wanted to stay warm and comfortable and fuzzy. And right behind me, you're going to see my giant mitten board. And on this mitten are the pictures of the animals that we met in the story. We have the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, the badger, the fox, the bear, and last but not least, the meadow mouse. Now I have a question for you, boys and girls. Do you think, oh wait, before we think, put your thinking caps on, go ahead. Okay. Do you think if we went outside today, or let's say tomorrow during a snowstorm, do you really think we would find all of these animals inside a mitten living together as friends? Give me a thumbs up for yes or a thumbs down for no. What are you thinking? The answer is no. And the first reason is, do animals really live inside mittens? No, but it is kind of fun to think about it, right? Because if you found something warm and comfortable, an animal might go in. But instead, animals live in homes that we call habitats. Can you see that word? Habitats. And all of these animals live in different habitats. So think about, what habitat does an owl live in? Yeah, that's right. An owl lives in the trees. And what about the bear? What kind of habitat does the bear live in? Yeah, a cave or a den. And what about that meadow mouse? Where would a mouse live? Yeah, they live in little holes called burrows, or even inside your house sometimes. But animals live in habitats, not mittens. Now, that's not the only reason why these animals wouldn't be living outside in a mitten as friends. I want you to think, are these animals usually friends out in the wild? No. Instead, we have certain types of animals that are called predators. And a predator is something that eats another animal. And the thing that it eats is not called a predator. Do you guys know this? It's called its prey. So the predator eats the prey. And as we see here, our owl, the predator, eats a mouse. And believe it or not, that fox would normally eat the bunny rabbit. Wow. And you never know, the owl might also eat the mole or even a rabbit itself. So predators and prey typically don't live together and be friends. Now, that's not to say that this story isn't great. It's a really great story, but it's not a realistic story or a scientific story. So things that aren't real or imaginary or fake, we call that a fiction story. Can you see that word? Fiction. So this is a fiction story, and I think it's wonderful. It's great to imagine. Hopefully you guys imagine some nice stories yourself. Now, if we have predator and prey, and the predator wants to eat the prey, we need to make sure that that prey has to survive, right? The prey wants to survive and be safe and not get eaten. So in order to survive, what do animals do in order to survive? Like if an owl was trying to eat the mouse, what do they do? Or what do they have to help them? Well, we say that animals protect themselves. And to protect themselves can be a behavior, or it could be something they physically have on their body. And we'll use one of the animals as an example. So, if I was an owl and someone wanted to eat me, what do I have in order to protect myself on my body? That's right, sharp claws. Let me see your claws. Yeah, claws. Or some people might say their beak. Right. Well, what about behaviors? What would an owl do if something was trying to eat it? That's right, fly. Let's see your wings. That owl would fly. And let's say a rabbit. What would a rabbit do behavior-wise? It might hop or run. Let's hop like a rabbit and let's run really fast away from that predator. Good job. What about the bear? Now, bears tend to be predators, but let's say someone did want to. Another bear maybe was kind of fighting with that bear. What does the bear have to protect itself? Again, really sharp claws and really sharp teeth. Let's see those bear teeth. Arr. In fact, I'll show you my bear teeth. Where's my bear teeth here? All right, take a look at that. Arr. Arr. Aren't those some big bear teeth? Woo! Big bear teeth there. Big bear teeth. Awesome. All right. So we now know that animals need to protect themselves in order to survive. And when we look at all these animals up here, all of these animals live on the same continent as us. And we can be reminded that the continents are the land where we live. And there are 7 of them. We've got North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and don't forget about Antarctica. So we're going to take the animals that live with us in North America, and we're going to put them away or say goodbye. I have my other Mitten here. So do we have moles that live here with us? Yes, my cat tries to catch them all the time. Do we have bunny rabbits? Yep, we definitely have rabbits. What about owls? Do we have owls here? Yep, we have owls in North America. What about mice? Absolutely. Bears? Yeah, you might remember the bear from Burlington last year. What about fox? Yes, for those of you who've gone or heard of Fox Hill School, absolutely we have foxes. And you might not have seen a badger in Massachusetts because those don't live here, but they do live in North America. Well, that leaves one animal that is the star of our show today. Today, we are going to learn about the hedgehog. Now, the hedgehog doesn't live with us in North America, but the hedgehog does live in 3 different continents, and I'll put a little red sticker. You can find hedgehogs in Asia. You can find hedgehogs in Europe. And the hedgehog you're going to meet in just a second or two is from Africa. So you would have to travel across the ocean to see one of these animals in the wild. But of course, they do sell them as pets, and they have them at zoos and places like the Science Center. Awesome. So, without further ado, I think it's time to meet our hedgehog. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about what animal a hedgehog is. We're going to talk about how a hedgehog protects itself and what a hedgehog eats. And then it'll be great, and we'll get to learn a lot of information. So let me grab him. Hedgehogs typically only live about 5 years, depending on the hedgehog. And our hedgehog is a boy. His name is Rascal. He's adorable. But I have to wake him up right now. Why would I be waking him up? Yeah, he is what we call nocturnal. And you might remember that word from some of the other Wild Wednesdays. He's up at night. So let me quietly wake him up. Okay. Rascal, do you want to come up? Well, here he is. Here is Rascal. Rascal is a type of hedgehog called an African pygmy hedgehog. And they live in Africa. They live in bushes. They like to hide. They might go in a burrow. They pretty much are found in a wide variety of habitats, even in people's backyards. So if you lived out in Africa or Europe, you might see a hedgehog in your backyard. You can see his body. He's got 4 legs, front and back. You're going to notice that his feet actually have little claws for digging. They're really good runners. He even has a little tiny tail in the back. You can see his tail sticking down right there. And there's his belly. You can see his little belly button right in the center. Oh my God, isn't that so cute? Oh, look at hedgy belly buttons. Hedgy belly buttons. You'll see 2 big ears and a very big pointy nose that has some whiskers next to it. But you might notice his eyes are not very big. Not very big at all. So the first question is, how do you think a hedgehog protects itself? They're quite small. And if you think about Africa with lions and tigers and big animals, this guy's got to be able to stay safe. Well, look at what covers his body. All of these sharp, pointy things. And in our storybook, they called them prickles. But scientists have a different name for these. I'm going to put him down for a second. Do you guys know what those are called? What are they? They are called quills. Can you say that? Quills. It's neat that it starts with the letter Q. So quills are very sharp and very pointy. In fact, there's another animal that lives here in Massachusetts that has quills. Does anyone know? Anyone? I don't know if you guessed it, but it is a porcupine. And you can see on this porcupine board all of these sharp, pointy quills that we have glued onto the board. And the porcupine's quills are hidden under their fur. And when they get nervous or scared, they have special muscles that stick them up, and they walk backwards, aiming those sharp quills at whatever's going to hurt it. Now, I wonder what a quill actually is. Well, if we think about hedgehogs, like Rascal here, I wonder what kind of animal he is. Do you think he's a reptile? No. Do you think that he's an insect? No. A fish? No. But look at his belly. What covers his belly? That's right. It's hair or fur. You're going to see it on his face too. Look at that face. So if he has hair or fur, last week when I did the rabbit, that animal had hair or fur too. Do you remember what group rabbits belong to? That's right. They are mammals just like us. And there are characteristics. Mammals have hair or fur. They breathe with the lungs. And our little hedgehog here breathes with lungs too. He's just got small ones. Live on land and water. Hedgehogs typically live on land, but guess what? They are great swimmers. And Rascal does get a bath once a week, and he loves to swim around. He is warm-blooded. His temperature is nice and warm. And when hedgehogs have babies, they do drink milk from their mom. And somewhere underneath all those quills is a backbone. Now, my question is, what is a quill? If it's attached to his body and it's covering him, what do you think it might be? Well, I hope you guessed, but quills are a very, very special hair or fur. Now, we don't have hair or fur like that, but if you think about different mammals, they have different fur. If you're a bear, your fur is very thick and very warm. And if you're a rabbit, we had some longer hair here and the tail hair was different. But if you're a hedgehog and you need to protect yourself, your hair is special because it's sharp and pointy. And let me show you how sharp and pointy quills can be. So I have a little container here of real porcupine quills. Unfortunately, they get hit by cars because they're very slow. And I'm going to pick up one quill so you can see it. It's long. It's very sharp at the end and pointy, and it even has a little piece here called a follicle. And the follicle is the part that sticks into the animal's skin. And it's just like your hair. If you were to pull out a little piece of your hair, if it fell out by accident, you have a little piece of follicle there. Just please don't go pulling all your hairs out. But this is what a quill looks like. Now, if this is hard to see because it's small, I have a model of what a quill would look like if we made it really big. And it's not a model like on the runway, on the model. This is a science model. Scientists use models to understand and learn things in the world. So here we have our giant quill. And this was made from a baseball bat. You'll see that it's long. Here's that follicle. And right at the end, it's very sharp and pointy. And you can see it looks just like our small quill. Now I'm going to show you how sharp and pointy these are. Are you ready? Here I go. And touch. Oh my goodness. Should I do it again? I don't know. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, touch. 1, 2, 3, touch. Wow. Just by touching the end of the quill, it sticks to my fingers. These quills have microscopic little hooks, and they're so pointy that all it takes is for you to touch them to your finger, and they stick. And can you imagine if you had hundreds or thousands of these and a predator tried to grab you? Ouch, that would hurt so bad. But don't worry, I'm not going to grab a porcupine any soon. And Rascal's quills are a little different. You'll notice his quills stick out all the time because he's so small. And even though he has quills, if I touch them gently, it doesn't hurt. They're actually a little spiky, kind of like how when you feel your hairbrush, they're a little spiky, but they're there to protect him. Now, there's something else that Rascal will do if he gets really scared. Besides having special hairs called quills, there's another thing he'll do. And Rascal doesn't do it very much because he's so friendly, but I brought another model with me, this little hedgehog puppet here. And hedgehogs can do the neatest things. I'm going to show you a picture of some real hedgehogs. This is a mother and the babies. What do you notice these hedgehogs are doing to protect themselves? That's right. The hedgehog rolls into a ball to protect itself. And what it does is its belly, its feet, and its face, they tuck themselves into the ball, and all that's left are those sharp special hairs called quills. And then that way, the animal can't get to their important parts. The quills keep them protected. They just end up like a ball of spikes. Pretty cool. And hedgehogs don't roll like this. You might see that in cartoons and movies. They don't do that. All right. Do you want to roll into a ball for me? Want to roll into a ball? Roll into a ball. There he goes, a ball. Oh, and then he comes out because he's so friendly. Now, the last thing a hedgehog does, I need you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. And we're going to listen. Now, this is just a toy, but hedgehogs do make a snuffling and grunting noises. Just like in the story, they said he snuffled along. So they grunt. And ours doesn't grunt very much because he's super friendly. Well, boys and girls, we learned about the 3 ways a hedgehog protects itself. Sharp, pointy hairs called quills. And they curl into a ball. And they make noises that scare animals away. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is what hedgehogs eat. And what I'm going to do is show you a little bucket of food. Let me go see if I can find it. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, here it is, our hedgehog food. Now, hedgehogs in the wild love to eat things like fruit. They'll forage for fruit, but they will catch things like centipedes and little lizards. They'll steal eggs from nests. They'll even eat scorpions if they're in the desert. Oh my gosh, they might also catch a spider. Wow. Maybe even a small snake. But the hedgehog's favorite food in the whole wide world are bugs or insects. They love insects, and an animal that only eats bugs or insects has a special name. And that special name is called an insectivore. Can you say that? Insectivore. Very good, because they eat insects. And Mrs. Hogan is bringing me a little treat for our hedgehog here. She brought me some worms. So what we're going to do right now to end our program is I'm going to feed the hedgehog some little treats or worms right in front of you. So today we read a wonderful story called the Mitten. We learned about some of the animals in there and how they live in different habitats and they protect themselves by things they have on their body or behaviors they do. And we met and learned about a special animal, the hedgehog, who we normally don't see here. So I'm going to pick up Rascal here, and I'm going to put a little worm in my hand, and we'll see if he is hungry enough to eat it. Oh, there he goes. Oh, oh, look at him chewing. Look at him chewing. All right, let's give him another one. Let's give him another one. See if I can get up close. It's hard to do this on the computer. There we go. You want that worm? Okay. Ah! He ate that worm right up. Let's see if we get another one. Oh, this one's a big, juicy worm. You want this big, juicy worm? Big, juicy worm? Oh, he didn't want the big, juicy one. Look, he's so excited that he's just kind of sniffing all around. You can tell that he eats bugs because of that big pointy nose. There he goes. Want to eat that? No? Okay, maybe he doesn't want the big plump one. Let's see if he wants a smaller one. It could be because I'm holding him in the air. Oh, he didn't want the big one. He likes the smaller ones. How neat is that? All right, we've got one more smaller one. We will feed him. Here we go. Oh, let's get that in my hand. Here we go. Oh, he's still chewing on the other one. Jump, jump, jump. And here we go. Oh, he doesn't want it. I think he wants down. There he goes. Nope. Want that last worm? There he goes. He's chomping. Well, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed meeting Rascal or Hedgehog. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at pavlick@bpsk12.org. And next week, since it's right before vacation, we will be doing a Wild Wednesday winter vacation experiment. We'll be doing this live, and you'll each be getting this experiment to take home. So I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you, and take care. Bye, boys and girls.